Hi, today we have Miss Varda Taneja amongst us. She's Senior AVP Invest India. Welcome to BW Business World, Varda.
Thank you, Urvi. It's a pleasure to be here.
I hope you're keeping well in these difficult times. Everything is safe and you're keeping healthy.
All good, Urvi. We've gone through a tough phase, but now things are getting better, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it will remain so. Hope all well at your end.
Yes, definitely. So I believe you are based out of Delhi too. So we are going into a better phase in Delhi now. So let's just hop into the interview. Can you tell us
Sure.
about your journey a bit? How did you land up being a core member of Invest India as an intrapreneur?
Sure. So I'll tell you, always, Urvi, whether I was in school or when I was in college or, throughout that whole time, I think my biggest driving motivation was always creating impact. So even, whether I was applying for college admissions, putting together my statement of purpose or, I can remember it back to that day. I always, wrote them with the driving motivation and passion of wanting to create impact, being involved in some sort of a socially impactful and positive change sort of a project throughout, maybe social entrepreneurship, those were the kind of things I was always interested in. And I think that's what's really reflecting in my career journey as well, because since I came back from my master's at the LSE, it's been 7 years, 7.5 years that I have been continuously been working with the government's own startup, which is called Invest India. Invest India is the National Investment Promotion and Facilitation Agency of the Government of India. And really, I feel like I am doing ground changing work over here because I am working on facilitating projects in the country which are giving opportunities, which are creating opportunities for people over here, new opportunities in bringing technologies into India which didn't exist over here before, creating employment for people literally at ground zero level. So the kind of impact that I have through my work at Invest India, it's unparalleled. You're literally working in coordination with the entire government machinery to make things happen, to help industry grow, to bring in projects which have a sustainability element to them, to bring in projects which have new technologies to them. Honestly, I don't think I could have got the opportunity to create this kind of impact anywhere else but at Invest India.
Yes, it seems like you're doing some very seminal and good work at Invest India. So, in that light, can you tell us about some interesting projects that you're working on presently?
Sure. So within Invest India, I do have a regional responsibility of inbound investments from the European region, and in addition, I also look at some very focused, dedicated champion sectors which have been identified by the government. So these champion sectors, and I'm sure you must have heard some of the buzz around them in the news as well. They include toys, furniture, sporting goods, white goods, LEDs, personal care and hygiene products. So these are very niche industries which have been identified by the government as focus areas or champion sectors where there is a great potential for Indian companies and the Indian industry to develop, Atmanirbharta, so to speak, and increase localization within the country. So I have worked on, with my line departments on coming up with policies and interventions which would reduce import reliance on, non-essential imports of these categories, identifying ways in which we can boost local manufacturing. I have worked on action plans, sectoral action plans to drive industrial growth, create clusters, for some of these sectors that we've discussed. The champion scheme on production linked incentive for white goods is also something that I've been very actively involved in. But I think one of the most important projects that I've been working on in the past 1 year has been working with foreign companies who are looking to diversify their supply chain and manufacturing globally, so that they become more resilient in the global scenarios. So the pandemic saw a lot of loss in terms of supply, manufacturing, and industry. So a lot of companies in this scenario have been looking to diversify and safeguard themselves from the risk of supply chain damages. So I've actually actively worked on some projects where I have helped certain companies build a business case for a India market entry as opposed to other geographies, and help them diversify their manufacturing presence and start a greenfield manufacturing project in India. And this project, which I'm referring to, is a completely brand new technology which is coming into India. This product has never been manufactured over here before and has always been imported from other geographies. And so, it makes you feel really good that in times like these, when, the economy has been suffering to a certain degree, that my efforts of driving some sort of capital into the country are going to bring in a positive impact, create new jobs, drive investment, drive growth. So it actually feels very fulfilling as in my work. Yeah.
Yes, I can imagine that, because creating jobs and addressing the issue of unemployment is one of the key factors in our economy. So we are at a stage with our youth population where we go this way or that way, jobs are generated, or the either way. So having said that, while your journey sounds really exciting and inspiring, it is like any other journey. I'm sure you must have had your set of difficulties that you had to overcome. Can you tell us about some of them, and how did you address those challenges?
Sure. So I think one of the first questions that came in my journey was that, I was a graduate from LSE. Of course, people expect you to join any of the big consultancies, go into investment banking and all those big, salary jobs, etc. But I always, and my parents used to ask me that, my friends, my peers used to ask me that, oh, like, why aren't you considering, other lucrative options in your career? And yes, there were many offers that came my way as well. So that question of choosing first your passion and your, and your what you really love to do over what people think you should do or should be doing. I think that was probably the first time I was, faced with this sort of a question or a challenge to maybe even like convince people that, what I'm doing is great. I love it. I enjoy it. It's my passion. And then I think during my tenure at Invest India in the past 7 years, because it was a new organization, of course, it took a lot to build the organization. I think I was the third or the fourth employee over here, and today we are 250 plus people. So of course, the entire journey of growing the organization, getting the office space into place, I remember the first few things that we did over here was buying stationery and cutlery and spoons and dustbins for the office space, because literally there was nothing, right, for the employees. So it's really been like growing like a baby, like from ground zero up. And I think, and another one of the big challenges that we faced was that the entire team at Invest India, we're all very, very young people. The average age of the organization is probably around 30, 32. And we are juxtaposed in a very interesting way, wherein that one of our biggest stakeholders is the government. And it is, you obviously have to build your credibility amongst all the senior stakeholders in the government, all the bureaucrats who've been doing public policy governance throughout their lifetime as administrative officers of the government. So one, of course, it was challenging to leverage yourself in front of their expertise and build your credibility and knowledge in front of them. And two, on the other side, we are interacting with global multinationals who are looking to foray into India. and again prove your credibility to them, sitting in the boardroom in front of many CXO level people, and presenting in front of them, making sure that your age doesn't work against you, and your knowledge and your passion and your expertise can be conveyed in the best manner possible, and they gain that faith in your knowledge and your words to look at India in a serious way, and work with you on their India market entry strategy. So I think both all of these few factors were some of the challenging things that came about, but I think the last one is the most important one, and I think the fact that we've been able to prove our credibility is and that's how we've probably been able to even grow the organization the amount that we have.
Yes, Invest India is quite well known these days, especially because of the position it is in, partly government, partly private sector, partly run by youngsters, and the nice hybrid we have over there. So, talking about your journey in this corporation, you have been almost present from the very outset since it was established. As an intrapreneur, what have been your key learnings across the last, say, 7 or 7.5 years?
So I think one of my biggest learnings has to be, I think anyway, working on a startup, you have to be on your feet all the time, and you get posed with new problems on a daily basis. So to be able to think, in a split second, coming up with creative solutions, being innovative. And I don't think I was this creative or innovative or came up with new ideas back when I started, but I think this entire organization, the exposure that it has given me has instilled that creativity in me. I have developed it over time to be able to think on your feet, to be able to come up with new creative ideas, solutions, ways in which we can do new things. So I think that's been one of the biggest learnings, and to always be able to adapt to change. Okay, so fine, we're and especially as a growing organization, it's important that you don't get fixed in a box. You can't be in that one particular box. You have to be able to mold yourself with time and keep changing as the times go, and keep changing as per the requirement of your organization. So to be able to be that fluid is also something which is very important, and I think that's also something which I've learned very well over here.
Yes, on-the-job learning is one of the biggest teachers in life, aside from the conventional degrees that we hold.
Absolutely.
So now I would like to know that given that you have already achieved so much in Invest India as an intrapreneur, what is your vision for yourself 2 to 3 years down the line?
So, I wouldn't say I've achieved that much. I think, this is probably just the beginning in the long road ahead. I would say it's the first milestone that I've touched, and there's a lot more that I would want to do. And within Invest India, of course, I see the organization growing pan India in the near future. We would look at a regional presence, an international presence, growing the organization further. That's the vision with which we are headed ahead. We are attached to many other verticals within the government as well. There is a team which is working with startups, a team which is working with the Principal Scientific Advisor's Office. So there are more verticals. I feel that we can expand to becoming like many of the other investment promotion agencies globally. And I myself personally also see myself attaching myself to many other projects beyond Invest India as well. Projects which are creating impact, in the country. And they could be social impact organizations, funds, other maybe non-profits or multilaterals on a project basis. I see myself doing a lot of that kind of work going forward as well in a voluntary capacity.
Okay, so you have a lot on your plate, and it's good to see that you're really passionate about what you're doing. So before I let you go for the day, I want to ask you, what would you like to say to anybody, any youngster who is looking to build their career in the social entrepreneurship sector?
I would say stick to your passion, stick to your guns, and especially if you want to be in the impact space. Uh, of course, it's one thing to be in a purely impact space by working with the government or with different foundations, etc., where the goal is primarily, the beneficiaries. But if you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're going to create a business model out of it, impact is important, but don't also forget how to make it profitable and a commercially viable entity that you're planning to build.
Okay,
So I
good.
think it's important to keep that balance in your mind.
Definitely, that was a very realistic and good answer. Philanthropy and profit a lot of times have to go hand in hand in most organizations. So, with that thought, I'll take your leave for the day. Thank you so much, Varda, for joining us and taking our time.